Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. At this time, I will reconvene the City Council meeting for Tuesday, December 17, 2013. First item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance. I'd ask that you all please stand. Place your hand over your heart and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on an item which is on the agenda, I'd ask that you please fill out a request to speak form. It's a form like this in the back of the room, and give it to our city clerk. At this time, anybody wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so by coming up to the podium. We do have one request to speak. Mr. Nix? Nice to see the Boys and Girls Club here.
You got Son on this side. Hello, I'm Cy Nix from the La Quinta Boys and Girls Club, President General for Boys and Girls Club located right here in La Quinta. And we'd like to come by and just personally give you guys great thanks for all the support that you guys have given us throughout the years. The support you guys give to the families and the youth of our community is greatly needed. These are some of the recipients of your support here at the Boys and Girls Club, and we wanted to come down personally and give you a certificate of appreciation. Can you give that to Mayor Adolph, please?
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And we personally thank each and every board member on this council, because we know you guys personally have a love for the Boys and Girls Club, and every time you're out and about, you guys mention that, and we really appreciate that, and we want to come here today to show that appreciation. So thank you very much for your support.
Good. And I see your new auctions coming up, and before too long, the notices are going out. Best of luck. I hope you do well.
That's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year, so thank you very much.
You bet. You bet. Well, thank you for this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Merry Christmas. Anyone else wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, then we'll move on to our confirmation of agenda. Are there any changes, additions, or deletions by staff?
We have none.
By council members?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. On the consent calendar, item number 5, I'd ask that we make that a business item. That could be business item number 4.
4 is now 5.
5 is now 4?
Or 5 is now 4.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, the next item is presentations and written communications. We have none this evening. I'll ask for approval of minutes of December 3rd.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. All in favor, please vote.
Councilmember Osborne and Evans.
Okay, motion passes.
Oh, I like that. 3.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar.
Move consent calendar as amended. Second.
Before we go, I just want to say congratulations to Barbara Palmer for our Senior Inspiration Award from our city.
Absolutely.
I think that's fantastic in all her work.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Please vote. The motion passes. All right, we'll then move on to our business session. We have 3 or 4 this evening now. The first one is interviews and appointments of a resident to one vacancy on the Investment Advisory Board. For those of you who have not gone before the interviews before, let me just briefly tell you the process that we go through is, number one, we'll invite each candidate and each applicant up to the podium, give them 3 minutes to say what they would like to say. Then we'll ask council members, anybody that needs to request a question or something from the applicant, we'll go through everybody. Once that is done, then our city clerk will pass out the names of all three applicants, and then each individual, each council member will pick the one that he or she would like to see on the Investment Advisory Board. And when that's done, it's given back to our city clerk, who will read the results off by each member of the city council. And at that point, a nomination will be made, and the council will select the one individual who will serve on the advisory board this coming year. With that, then, Susan, would you like to read the names off?
We have one vacancy in the Investment Advisory Board with a term ending June 30th, 2015. 3 residents have submitted applications, and all 3 meet the qualifications established in the municipal code. The first applicant, we'll take them in alphabetical order, is Mr. Gary Barnes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. I first moved to La Quinta in the early 2000s, was here approximately 2.5 years, moved to pursue a career opportunity, and my wife and I returned to La Quinta in January of 2013. During my career, I served as a commercial banker for in excess of 35 years in 4 or 5 different states. Ended up being the president of a bank in Arizona, a bank in San Diego, and a bank in Utah. Different banks, different times. In addition, I have served on the Idaho State Economic Council, appointed by the governor. I've also served on the City Parks Commission in Boise, Idaho. And I've also served on the United States Small Business Administration National Advisory Council. In summary, that's my background. I'd be more than happy to entertain questions.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Linda, you want to start us off?
Gary, good to see you again.
Thank you.
I have a question. Since the original application was submitted back in April, have you since attended an investment advisory board meeting?
I have not.
Okay. And could you tell me what the most significant transaction the city of La Quinta has made since your first application in the last 6 months?
I'm sorry, the most significant?
Financial transaction that the city has made.
Well, I would think that this may not be exactly what you're referring to, but I think the conclusion of the budget for the fiscal year beginning in July was a major financial step.
Oh, well, all right, I had a different idea in mind, but that was a significant financial step, so I will take that and go with it. Thank you very much. I don't have any other questions.
Good. Terry?
Yes, I have a sense of curiosity here because you have appeared before us before.
I have.
Why would you not have gone to an investment advisory board meeting?
I don't think that I can give you probably a satisfactory answer to that. I've just not taken the opportunity to do so.
Okay, and have you examined the document that the board abides by?
I have read that document repeatedly. I've also taken a look at the city budget and looked at relevant documents that guide and direct the commission.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good. Lee?
Now, are you still president of the bank in Arizona?
No, I'm not. I'm
Okay.
retired.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Christie?
A comment, I guess more than a question. In defense of Mr. Barnes not going to an investment advisory board meeting, I'm not sure that most people would do that without invitation, shall I say.
All of our commission meetings are open to the
Yeah,
public.
you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure everybody does that.
Oh,
And one might consider, it is a public meeting, but an investment advisory board has to do with the city's finances, and maybe one would consider that might not be just open to everyone. But, I mean, that would be my thinking if I didn't know, I guess is what I'm saying. Anyway, I appreciate your applying again. Thank you so
very
much.
Gary, just quick, you must have liked living in the city of La Quinta because you left
back.
and you came back.
I did. We were convinced and committed to returning once I retired and my obligations were met. And that was wrapped up the last of 2012. Sold our house in November and moved into our new house here January 15th.
Good, good. Well, we like residents that do things like this. I think
Thank you very much.
it shows the kind of class that the city has.
I certainly
Brings
concur with
people
that.
back. Well, thank you, Gary, for reapplying in that.
Thank
Because
you.
it shows you're definite that you're very interested
I
in
am
wanting to
indeed.
serve.
Thank you.
Fine. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call up Catherine Godbey.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Catherine Godby. I reside at 79768 Castile Drive in La Quinta. I've been a La Quinta resident for 3 years and 3 months. And my interest in the Investment Advisory Board clearly is because I have 20 years experience in city government, either as the finance director or assistant finance director. I love city government. However, the city in which I work for in Southern Nevada was experiencing severe budget problems. They offered a severance, which I took, and I'm now working as the finance director for the Coachella Valley Water District. So, on a personal level, I'm the mother of 2 children, both very active in scouting. My daughter received the highest award in Girl Scouting. My son received the highest award in Boy Scouting, which is the Eagle, and I've been very active in the community with my children at the time. After I moved here, I was very busy with my job, and so it's come to the point where I'd like to give back to my community with the experience that I can lend to the city. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you.
Good. Thank you. Terry?
well, golly day, you've been a busy lady. And I originally thought that, you know, we should just put you on there so that you could tell us all the secrets of the CVWD budget, and, you know, and then I thought, well, maybe that wouldn't be appropriate, so.
Well, I'm telling you, I feel your pain. I was in charge of coordinating budgets for city government for many, many years, and you know, I saw the boom and I saw the resulting bust. So I do feel the challenges that you're going through right now.
Yeah, and I do appreciate the fact that you've got some background in the kinds of issues that we deal with, and so thank you for applying.
Good. Lee?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Christie?
I don't either, you know, you're very well qualified, and I appreciate your applying. Thank you.
Good. Linda?
So a little bit different budget at CVWD than you had in your previous position then?
Yes.
They've got a lot of money at the water district.
Well, you're general fund based, a lot of property taxes. I read your CAFR from last year. A third of your general fund is based in property taxes, whereas, you know, a water, sewer, utility district is based in rates. So it's a little bit different on as to how your money comes in.
Mhm. And it looks like, I don't even know if have we had an IAB since November 18th? Have you had a chance to attend one of our meetings?
The
Probably not.
investment committee meeting, I haven't attended any of your meetings, but I pull what we post on the agenda. And it's very similar to what we do because we actually have to conform with government, the California code as well. Our committee meetings are on an ad hoc basis and are a little less formal. We have a couple board members on our committee meeting.
Has there been any discussion at the Water District on what they'll do with the excess funds that they received from La Quinta's $41.4 million check on the RDA rebate?
Oh, what was it, 10 million?
They got, yeah, did you get about 10 or something?
No, we got, last month, we got a little bit over 2.
Oh, two, the county got 10.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
keep getting all these millions confused.
Actually, to answer your question, they haven't made a formal decision, but it's one-time money, so I would have to recommend that it be used for one-time use, such as capital.
So maybe
We
we
have a
could give you
canal.
some ideas.
Yeah. Catherine, no other questions. You're on the hot spot, sorry.
I'm also a certified public accountant, but I am not licensed to practice in the state of California.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm on the advisory board of CVWD and we haven't had a meeting in a year. Is there a reason for this, that they don't need any advice?
They've been getting a lot in the paper lately.
Well, I hope that's not the reason, but I will certainly find out for you.
No, I think it's well run and that. We miss Steve
Yeah, I know.
Robbins and that.
A
He
tragedy.
was a good friend of ours and a Rotarian with Lee and I, and that was a wonderful guy.
Yeah, he really
And
was.
that. You spent, how many years in Vegas?
I was 12 years.
12 years in that. I'll be there next week. We have family that live there, so
Oh, good.
we're going over for Christmas.
Good. You know, what's funny, if you live there, you don't do the casino thing.
Well, it's a total different city. I had the opportunity to meet and talk with Oscar Goodman on several occasions.
He's a
and,
character.
He was quite a character.
Yes, he is.
In that.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you, Catherine,
Okay.
for wanting to serve in the city of La Quinta.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, our last applicant is Ronald Villa.
Hello and good afternoon. My last name is Villa, Italiano.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a little bit sensitive on that because I'm full-blooded Italian.
I understand.
I came to La Quinta 3 years after my retirement, working 40 years at 2 major corporations. One in finance for 10 years, HSBC, and the other being aerospace, Boeing Company. All of those years have been spent in finance. My education through an executive MBA has been finance. In addition, venturing off into the finance world, somewhat related, studying at, spent some time studying at Stanford on the global supply chain, which focused on the lean Six Sigma methodology, which some people don't realize what Six Sigma is. It's a lot deeper than plain lean, getting rid of waste. It's actually controlling variation, becoming beyond efficient, then becoming effective, as well as then creating value after effectiveness and growth, which leads to profit. That's what Six Sigma is all about. In my 40 years, obviously I've managed and over the P&L statements, profit and loss, various incomes, met with auditors, reviewing compliance and finding issues, also giving clarification, substantiation, etc. As far as being on boards, I haven't attended an investment board. I believe, why should I attend as an audience? I'd be the member participating or leading, one or the other. Provide some value. Otherwise, it's just, I just look up reports and look at them and say, okay, great. So that addresses that. But really, the essence of being interested in this board is twofold. One, because I love finance, reviewing, making investment choices, proposals, coming up with plans, as well as, of course, reviewing, of course, the documents at hand, whether they're the investment policies, making changements. I've written policy, running boards, that type of thing. As well as being a big resource, I think, as far as investment proposals. And that's kind of a summary of it. I love looking at
Thanks, Ron.
Any questions?
Lee? Christie?
I know you explained this, but it didn't, I'm not sure that I totally understand the Six Sigma technique. What exactly is that again?
Excuse me, what about it?
What is it?
It's a methodology, okay? Its principles is to define, measure, then analyze, and improve and control whatever you want to apply it towards.
Okay.
Office environment, et cetera. When you do that, okay, you are getting into the efficiency of doing whatever you want to tackle, project. The efficiency is going to get out effectiveness, which then becomes growth and profit.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Linda?
Have you had an opportunity to review any of the policies for investments for the city of La Quinta?
Did I review some of them?
Mhm.
Yes, I looked at them. It's interesting.
Do you feel that we're too conservative, not aggressive enough, too aggressive?
Yes, and yes. I would, if I was in there, I'd be making some suggestions that I think, just to put on a different hat and look at things, how you could make things a little bit more powerful, a little bit more straightforward, and not aggressive. I know aggressive sounds with risk, but I'm really conservative by nature, but I am also very aggressive in tackling and finishing and going after something and getting it.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Terry?
Is the green belt the highest level of belt that you?
No, black belt is.
Black belt.
Yeah, that you have to work full-time for
Work
quite a while.
full-time
to
for black belt.
achieve.
How many belt levels are there?
There's 3. Black belt's the highest.
Okay. Interesting.
Sorry?
I said it's very interesting. Thank you.
It's a life and style, but I was, for the activity I had, mostly in contracts, like aerospace and so forth, went in and delved into the green belt because with the projects at hand, that's where we're running investment boards and, you know.
So do you
well
use
done.
this theory in a lot of different things and that you're, anything?
Anything.
Okay. All right, thank you.
It's amazing what you can do.
Following the statement that you had on here, it says, ask why 5 times.
Yes.
That's part of
Peel the onion. Yeah, never, I still do it today, whether I'm getting bids or calling somebody and talking to somebody different, getting a different answer, and then after I listen to them, what about this? What about that? Why? Then you start getting the root cause.
Yeah. Just to ask, and maybe you know, maybe you don't know, the 2 top priorities that this city has, do you know what they are?
Top priorities. I'd be
No,
guessing
I don't want to throw something at you, but number 1 is our protection, our police department, public safety, and that's number 1. And then number 2 is fiscal responsibility. And we rely an awful lot on our investment advisory board to help us go through the handling of city's monies and that. So it's a very important board to us. The individuals that have served on this board have done a wonderful job in past years, and I think that we all agree that they have helped us tremendously in the investments that we need to do for and with tax dollars and that. So.
May I say one? Yeah, and you meet once a month, every second Wednesday. I'm the type of person, if I'm on this board, I almost make it my full-time job.
Yeah.
I am very serious about whatever I undertake.
Well, it's important that we invest wisely because security is the top issue that we deal with, security on our investments.
Right.
And that. So we're very aware of this, and I think we want the people on there that understand the direction this city's going in.
Security, risk, and return.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you, Ron.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, that concludes the three applicants that we have at this time.
Mr. Mayor, since there's only one commission and one vacancy, we can do the vote verbally. I'll call each council member's name, and you give me one name, and I'll tally, and then we can do a motion. Does that work? Well, we can get ballots, but since there's only one position, we don't have a lot, we don't need a matrix to do it.
But the purpose of the ballot is for us to vote individually and not hear what someone else has to say.
It's true.
Yeah,
Okay, we can do the ballot.
please.
Okay.
The problem is, well, I'll have to use your,
Can we just
if
take,
you would just put the
can we take
name.
a piece of paper?
Yes,
Just take a
and then
piece of
I'll
paper.
collect it on your pads.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember to put your name on it.
are we just doing it on a piece of paper?
Yes.
It's a piece of paper, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me add at this time that we really appreciate our citizens wanting to serve with the city, and that's what makes the city go around, that we have our own residents that want to serve in various capacities with our city. We really appreciate it. One of the hardest things that this council has to do is select people, and that because everybody that comes before us really has great backgrounds, and they really would stand and do a great job for the city. Unfortunately, like tonight, we only have one opening and we have three applicants, so I appreciate all of you. I wish all of you could serve on the committee in that because I think you'd all do a great job, but we're forced into making a decision, and we have to abide by that decision. So thank you all for applying and the best of luck. And again, like two of you did, you came back for a second go-around in that, and we thank you for that. And rest assured that we have openings that come about periodically. Keep in touch, and we'd be more than happy to have you join us if you don't make it tonight. Thank you. Susan?
Okay, the votes are as follows. Councilmember Evans, Ms. Godby. Councilmember Franklin, Mr. Barnes. Councilmember Henderson, Ms. Godby. Councilmember Osborne, Mr. Barnes. Mayor Adolph, Mr. Villa. So, looks like we'll go through it one more time.
You got it?
With all three.
With all three? Okay.
Oh, the top two? The top two, the attorney
The
said.
top two.
Well, that's
Yeah, top
what I
two.
was getting at, yeah,
Yes.
so that we're not,
Top two. Sophisticated folks.
Okay, and the votes are Councilmember Evans, Ms. Godby. Councilmember Franklin, Ms. Godby. Councilmember Henderson, Ms. Godby. Councilmember Osborne, Mr. Barnes. Mayor Adolph, Mr. Barnes. So we have 3 votes for Ms. Godby.
Okay, all right. Well, again, thank you very much, and Catherine, thank you for wanting it, and congratulations in that, and we'll look forward to having you join us in that. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
With that, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move approval of Ms. Catherine Godby for the remaining term on the Investment Advisory Board through July of 2015, did you say? June 2015?
Second.
Moved in second, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 2 on the business session, and that's adopt a resolution to approve the purchase and sale agreement with Marvin Investments, Inc. for the sale and future development of certain properties located in the La Quinta Village. Staff report, please, Les.
Mr. Mayor, Council, what's before you this evening represents about just under 3.5 acres of vacant property that we have within the La Quinta Village, generally located west of the La Quinta Library and south of Calle Tampico. Mr. Wells Marvin at Marvin Investments approached the city earlier this year expressing a development interest on that vacant property and proposed a price for that property. The proposal represents the development of a mixed-use project that would include 24,000 square feet of retail or office space, 72 apartment units, and 60 condominium units. It is proposed to be constructed in a series of up to 3 phases. And as the agreement is identified before you for your consideration this evening, it would require Mr. Marvin to secure all of the entitlement permits and be building permit ready prior to the transaction or the closing of the sale of the property. We did have one additional item that I wanted to bring to your attention that is not included in the agreement that we'd like for your consideration. That has to do with an additional matter of representing a proof of financing to be identified as well prior to closing of the property to be incorporated into the agreement. So with that, that's a very brief summary of what's before you this evening. Be happy to answer any questions you might have regarding this matter.
Good. Thanks, Les. Questions of staff?
Do we have the language for that, Les?
We don't have it drafted yet, but it will be, it's kind of a standard term that we put in some of our agreements, and it will require that the city manager approve the financing for each of the phases, so that we are assured as each phase closes that the financial wherewithal is there to carry out that phase.
Good, and I was just concerned that we had some language to go into the motion if we so decide to go that way.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Good. Anyone else?
If I could, so just to be clear that in the contract, we'll talk about the entire project financing or construction financing, not just a land purchase financing.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? We do have a couple of requests to speak, and if you would come up and if you could limit it to 3 minutes, we'd appreciate it. Kay, you want to come up? Yeah, that's.
Kay Wolf, 77227 Calle Ensenada. And I noticed that when you reconvened the meeting, you didn't make an announcement about action taken in closed session. Was this item also one in closed session today?
It was, but we didn't take any action in there.
Okay, that was my question. I do believe I'm here in another one of my exercises in futility, but I would like to raise some points to council regarding the sale of this land. I don't expect any answers. They are rhetorical questions only. Number one, in considering the sale of these parcels bought with public redevelopment money, have any of the entities directly affected by the possible loss of considerable parking been consulted? Has a plan been devised to accommodate overflow parking for the Arts Foundation's #1 festival in the United States, their umbrella shows, Chamber of Commerce events such as the Taste of La Quinta, farmers market, Humana events, Christmas tree lighting, and Wells Marvin's own tenants, such as Solano's Old Town Coffee and the Main Street Grill, if that's still the name. Have these entities weighed in on the impact of possible lack of parking? Is the city looking after these businesses and organizations as it often promises to do? Have the homeowners in the surrounding neighborhoods been apprised of the impact the elimination of 2 major parking lots will have on their properties? At each festival, there are already complaints about public and artist parking on their streets. That impact can only spread if no alternative parking is identified. Number 2, I note in the original resolution to purchase the parcel that the RDA, this was in March 2011, that the RDA rationale was invoked to use the land for, quote, future public parking and or road realignment purposes, collectively the infrastructure improvements to facilitate access to the village, unquote. Does the council simply waive this commitment, or is it necessary to get clearance to ignore this resolution that was penned by our late city manager, Tom Genovese? Number 3, is it a wise financial investment for the city and its public money? The parcels were purchased for over $3.8 million. Land values have risen since 2011. Is there some rush to dump this property for a mere fraction of the buying price tag, $1.9 million, which, if my math is correct, is half price? Why not wait for a better price? Is there something that the public doesn't know that hurries us into this transaction? When the city graded the parcels for parking a couple of years ago, the Arts Foundation agreed to put gravel on them as an enhancement. This was a benefit not only to festival goers and umbrella show goers, but to the Chamber of Commerce and certainly Old Town businesses. The foundation did this with the expectation of future years of use for its events, and it was and is willing to share this space with others. Will the foundation now get a prorated reimbursement for its $60,000 investment? Wells Marvin has had to deal with his own parking shortage by converting a pad intended for building to a pretty unsightly, rough, dusty terrain parking lot along Tampico, enclosed with a droopy chain link fence. How does the city put up with this tacky feature in the village? Homeowners with curb appeal like that would be cited for code violations. Wells Marvin has a long and public struggle to fill and keep his current Old Town offices, eateries, and other shops. High rents mean high turnover. Indeed, the vacancy in the whole village is high. Along Desert Club, La Fonda, Estado, Bermudas, and Tampico, think about the Fresh and Easy area. What's up with building more commercial space under these conditions? In the future, yes, but now, what is he thinking? This would be 24,000 more square feet more retail space, when I'm sure we have lots more than that already vacant. I would like to remind you of the significance of having a major nationally recognized art festival in our community. The idea of an arts festival was conceived as a way to provide balance in a new city way back in 1982, a balance between golf, tennis, and culture. The founders never dreamed the festival would be so successful and be such a magnet for home buyers, artists, and tourists. La Quinta, it gives La Quinta a classy brand and cannot be developed overnight. However, with a lack of infrastructure such as parking, it can certainly go away. If I were on the board, I was on the board for 20 years. If I were still on the board, I'd be thinking right now, where can we relocate until Silver Rock is developed, and maybe with a spot for us? To the polo grounds, to the tennis garden, someplace with parking. Once gone from La Quinta, I would think, would we want to return? Maybe yes, maybe no. Board members must be thinking such thoughts on a day like today. I think we should use the interim time, should delay the purchase and use that interim time to plan with the organizations and the neighborhoods that are going to be impacted. These are going to take some time. Given the real and immediate needs of the village and Old Town, I can only wish that Wells plans to build 2 lovely parking lots on his new property. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. You've asked a lot of questions, and we'll be dealing with those questions as it goes along. In that. Okay. Jim Parrish?
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Parrish and member of the Board of Directors of the La Quinta Arts Foundation. And I know that Christy spoke to you earlier today, and I'm sorry that I wasn't able to make that meeting, but I just wanted to be here as a member of the Board of Directors to reinforce the points that she made. You know, having a successful festival is really the most important item on our list of objectives every year. The proceeds of the festival virtually fund all of our programs and activities through the year. So it's critical to us to have a good festival. And I think you'll agree we've had some pretty good ones in the last few years, very successful ones, and we're proud of our stature as #1 in the nation. The key to having a successful festival is having a great location. And for the last several years, we've had exactly that, a wonderful one right out here. And we have enjoyed it. We have been very successful at it. It's had plenty of parking, which has always been an issue for us. And so that's just a top priority for us. Knowing that there's an impending possible redevelopment of that area, that causes us to think real hard about our future and where we might possibly be. I know that the city has some thoughts about us being at Silver Rock, and we would be most interested in knowing more about that. We don't have any specific plans or that we've looked at, that we've seen as to where we might be in that location, but we would certainly be interested and would like to participate very much in the specific planning of that area as regards our foundation and any others that the city might have, any other locations that might be considered. We'd like to be a part of the planning process is what I'm saying. And that's really my point this evening. Please keep us involved in the loop and help us continue a successful festival.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Christie?
No?
I was going to say, did you want to speak?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Wells?
Put in a request to speak, but I hadn't planned on it.
Not from back there. Come up here.
Evening. Wells Marvin Investments, Inc., 780110 Main Street, La Quinta. I didn't plan to speak, but I feel like some of the things that are said I need to make a brief response to. As always, Kay has made very intelligent, very eloquent remarks, and I know that Kay and her late husband Fred were really some of the original supporters of Old Town and what I did at Old Town, and I will always be very thankful to Kay and to Fred for all their support through the years. And I know Kay is at Old Town, I think practically every morning having coffee with her friends, and is one of the biggest supporters of Old Town. She makes some good points. Obviously, the parking that exists on the gravel lots is used not only by the Art of the Umbrellas, but by the festival. And I know that I've worked with Les and with Frank to talk about how, as we develop this property, we can transition. There's lots of other land in the village. We're fortunate that you own a lot of other land that could be graveled and could be made into parking for festival or other events. Ultimately, maybe there'll be the need for a second deck of parking on Bermudas or other places in the city. But cities change, cities evolve, cities develop, and I think everybody has seen what we've done at Old Town. And what we'll do on this site will be tasteful and very much in keeping with the feeling and the spirit of Old Town. No one in the city, other than the Arts Council itself, is as sensitive to the issue of parking, because the events that the Arts Council has on at Old Town need the parking, and the festival is a good thing for Old Town. So we work with them. I'm a little blindsided by the La Quinta Arts Foundation's comments, in that the first person I went to, even before I went to the city to talk about buying this land, was to go to Christie and talk to her. And we have, I believe, a very good business relationship, and I've always told her, if you've got any concerns, call me. We're not going to develop this tomorrow. It's going to be in phases over a number of years, and we want to. There's no one in the city who's a better booster of their events than Old Town and me. So we want to continue to work with them. They've told me themselves, as I'm sure they've told you, that the Civic Center they've pretty much outgrown, and they're going to probably need to move to a larger site at Silver Rock at some point, but that's something that obviously you guys will discuss. But I'm committed to working with them. And to speak to one other thing that Kay brought up about the parking lot, which she calls, I think you call it unsightly at Old Town at Tampico. And I've discussed that with both Frank and Les in detail. We're looking at, I've already got a proposal to make that into a permanent parking lot. And in which case, if I do that, I'll be amending my specific plan for Old Town to eliminate the ability to build another 25,000 square foot building I could build there, and instead make it into a permanent parking lot with the appropriate city mandated landscaping and lighting and stuff to provide more parking. Finally, the point is, she says there's tremendous vacancy. I mean, again, yes, in La Quinta there's a lot of vacancy because we have massive big boxes out on Highway 111 that are vacant. So if you look at the statistics, the vacancy appears to be huge. I can tell you right now at Old Town, we have 2 commercial spaces that are vacant, and we're talking to 2 tenants about those spaces. Last year we had none. We have probably 3 offices in the whole school. Our project overall is 94% leased, and has been over 90% leased for the last 3 years, even during the recession. So originally I thought about doing just residential, as you know, and as Frank and Les know, on this site. I was encouraged by city council members and by the staff that the city required there to be commercial along the continuation of Main Street between the library and Old Town. And at first I resisted that, and then had an epiphany when I saw some buildings in San Diego and in Orange County, where that's been done very, very successfully, where you have ground floor commercial with 2 stories of condominiums or apartments above the commercial. And we've worked very closely I have worked, I would say, with Frank and with Les and with you to show you what can be done there. We've submitted plans. And there'll be a long process, which I'm sure Kay will come to comment on through Planning Commission and through a specific plan. There's obviously amount of work that needs to be done to make sure we, and I'm sure Kay will hold our feet to the fire and make sure that we do a good project. I think she knows as well as anyone the quality of the projects I've built, not only in the $100 million of homes I built in La Quinta, but also in Old Town. And so I'm just looking forward to continuing to work with the city staff and with the council to bring another quality project to Old Town and to bring more people living in the downtown, which will make it more vibrant and will help bring more revenue to the city. So if you have any questions of me, I'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise, I'll just, we've had months and months of discussion on the agreement, and your condition, Les mentioned to me on the way in, is acceptable, that we would provide proof of financing before closing each phase. Proof of financing, that is, for that phase that we're closing on.
Okay. Any questions of Wells?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. Okay.
It's interesting, the comments that were made tonight, because I have reason to believe that everybody sitting up here feels the same way about everything that was said. I know that the Arts Foundation, being on the Civic Center campus, is so near and dear to my heart, and it's going to be very I don't know what will take longer to drag off of there, the show or me. That was made for that, if you will. I'm not sure we knew it when we did it, and it is a significant part of the show. So we are aware of that. We don't want to lose that. But if there is an opportunity for the Arts Foundation to grow the size of their show, they do need more space. Yes, there's still lots of land out at Silver Rock. Are we there yet? Are we planning that yet? Do we have anything we can show you in writing or in drawing? No, because we're just doing all of that. We're just getting our hands wrapped around the whole of the mess that was created because of the elimination of the RDA. So the land planning there is still all in front of us. And I think it's really important to make the statement that we know for a fact that next year's show is going to be on site, no problem there. If we have to, Wells will open up the country club that he lives in for some extra parking for the show if we need to. Well, okay, well, wherever in your neighborhood, we'll get the parking.
Indian Wells? No, I don't think so.
But every effort's going to be made by everybody in the city, the staff and the council, to maintain and grow what we have, so it's bigger and better, and that we aren't chasing anyone away. Number one, we're going to be number one for years to come. And maybe with a little bigger site, we can bring back the jazz festival and other kinds of activities. So while some of this is sad, some of it is very exciting going into the future. And it's nice to know that the city of La Quinta, who has a past history of a tourist village and community, and we've gone from the tourism to the golf, and obviously our cultural background. We now are very heavily into the health aspect of the community, but underlying the whole thing, we are a cultural arts community, and we embrace those other activities. So that's my feeling, and as long as I'm able to make an opinion about where we're going with this, that's mine. So, thank you all. Thank you for coming tonight.
Good comments. Linda?
Sure, just comments, not questions. I moved here in 2003, so my first art festival, and I live in Lake La Quinta. I'm an off-lake person. But my first festival was the one across the street in Washington in a big dirt lot. And we walked from home and walked across the street into the dust, and it was hot. But that was okay, because I thought that's kind of cool. And obviously seeing the progression is quite amazing. And I appreciate the fact that we've reached the #1 status, and it's quite telling for the work that's been done by a number of people over the years. The Civic Center site is fabulous, but I've had conversations with Christy over the last couple of years how it's already outgrown in terms of limiting to 250 artists. So recognizing that a parking lot doesn't make an event, the site makes the event, so the artists make the event, how they treat the artists makes the event, and how the community embraces it makes the event. I'm really excited about the prospects of expanding kind of the Old Town concept. We've got an opportunity, because it will take time for anything to really happen on that property. Now is that tiny bit of upswing that we're seeing in the economy, that if we don't kind of get that started now, we won't be ahead of the game. There's a lot of things happening in cities throughout the Coachella Valley, and we've been a little bit hamstrung on the RDA issue in freeing up dollars and land and just projects. So the fact that we've got this opportunity in front of us, as well as Silver Rock, is really our future revenue source for our community. And looking at several of the questions, concerns, believe me, I think parking was the first thing that came out of our mouth that we would ask staff, and they've had extensive conversations. The general plan as created in the village creates a walkable type community. We've got a variety of our housing in the city overall, where we've got our cove, we've got a lot of gated communities, as you all know, tract homes, we've got a ton of beautiful affordable housing, and custom homes, and this mixed use where you can have people walking, living, working, and consuming all within a confined area just gives that more of a buzz. And it might, over time, reduce that demand perhaps in making unique parking opportunities. So people are there as opposed to having to come and land there through a variety of means. So I'm thrilled about it. I look at the future of potentially having the Arts Festival perhaps at the Silver Rock destination as very exciting. That's a beautiful piece of property, and it's what we don't know sometimes that we get nervous about, but that's what excites me, is what it can become and how we look beyond the status quo to make it even better. And I appreciate the feedback and the concerns, and definitely we will work collectively with all the entities involved if this goes through to make them all winners. And I just, I applaud Wells for standing up and defending some of the comments, because Old Town's been great. If you're at the tree lighting ceremony, and any time, it's just the activities that have been brought to that area are really a nice hub, and people just continue to enjoy coming down. And the folks that haven't seen it yet and come down for the first time, they return. So, thank you for creating that environment, and I think that vision is a good one.
Good. Lee, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, first, in regards to the Arts Foundation, this city and this council and our team here has been committed to the Arts Foundation ever since I can remember. And I've only lived here for a little over 20 years. So we've always been a big proponent, a big fan of the Arts Foundation, whether that's financially or just work here with our team to help make each event successful. And I don't see that stopping tomorrow or within the next couple of years. The remark that, well, if we can't get parking, we may go to another city, I think that's ludicrous. But the commitment that this city has shown the Arts Foundation will not stop tomorrow, will not stop in 6 years. It's going to continue, and I know that from this council and future councils. I think Will's done an excellent job with Old Town, and I think it's a great place for different events and different gatherings. And I really look forward to continuing that and keeping that same atmosphere and design with this living and the working and everything there with the new project and the multi-use aspect of it. I look forward to that. We talked about making a walkable community, and this is a huge step in that regard. So I look forward to that. So I think this is a good project.
Good. Christie?
I would have to echo what has been said here tonight. Good points by both Kay and Wells. Kay, as far as your concerns, they've been ours, right down to the letter. Things that we've talked about, we're not certainly ever going to ostracize the La Quinta Arts Foundation in any way. Christy Salamone came before us tonight with a letter earlier requesting that our staff work with them, and we certainly intend to do that. If I know we have in the past, but we're going to upgrade that a little bit more. The apprehension about things, I think this was mentioned earlier, the anxiety comes when there's a lack of knowledge or someone is out, not in the loop, or kept in the dark, and that's not our intent. It never has been, and we're not going to proceed that way. I think I can say that with all surety. The Civic Center venue itself for the Arts Festival is so amazing. People that I've talked to or overhear conversations, they certainly are looking at the art, but they're looking at the venue too, and how they play off each other it's beautiful. So I'm certainly in favor of this project. We're doing it thoughtfully. We're considering everyone and everything in the project, and I know maybe it seems like we're doing this a bit quickly, but we are trying to get shelf ready, if you will, for what we feel is coming, and it is our obligation, our fiduciary responsibility to be to keep the city fiscally strong, which means we have to bring in revenue, and this is one way to do it. So I appreciate your concerns, and believe me, we've, we've talked about this a lot, and we have all of them in mind, so we're going to do this thoughtfully. Thank you.
If I could just add one thing. When we talk about growth of things, I look back to not only the tennis garden, but also the Stagecoach and Coachella Fest, and what those committees have done with shuttles, and how they've reduced traffic congestion for residents in those surrounding areas, and actually been able to grow venues by the use of varied transportation efforts. So there are lots of opportunities for us to do this, and you know, we'll have to look at buses going through roundabouts, but nonetheless, I think it can be done.
I think it can be done.
So I strongly support the project. Thank you.
I'm not going to go through a long dissertation. Just briefly, yes, I've got concerns about what is happening in the development, but I've been assured by staff that we will look at each one of these items and discuss it and come up with the best conclusion that we can come up with in the development that's coming forward. And that, thank you, Kay, for your comments, and Jim and Wells, and that. Rest assured, we're going to be looking at these issues and the development process as it goes along. Okay, with that, unless there's anything else, I'll entertain a motion.
The motion could also include, in addition to the addition of the one term, just we have some my office had some very minor cleanup on the resolution, so if you would give us that latitude just to make some minor revisions. I've got them here. It's primarily wordsmithing.
Sure.
So let me make an attempt then. So I would move approval, let's see if I can do this. Move approval of
That's good.
resolution number 2013-060. Resolution of the City Council of the City of La Quinta approving an agreement for purchase and sale and escrow instructions between the City of La Quinta and Marvin Investments for certain property located in the La Quinta Village as amended, and with the authority of council and city manager for final adjustments to the agreement prior to execution.
Which will include the new term on the approval of financing.
Correct. That was the as amended part. Perfect. Second?
Can I just get clarity on part of it? Because I believe you included.
As amended.
Well, no, but I believe you included with approval of the city council. So,
I
does
think
that
she
make
means
it come back
council
to?
SEL instead of
legal.
CIL.
Authorizing council, attorney, and city manager to
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
finalize
that
and
there wasn't
execute
having to
accordingly.
come back to us.
Oh, no, yeah. But yeah, that's good clarification.
Sure sound like it.
Are we through with the motion? There's been a motion and a second. Please vote. All right, motion passes. All right. Okay, we'll move on to business item number 3, and that's City Council Annual Reorganization. I don't think we need too
No,
much on that.
I'd like to, do I have to do anything on it? Can I just?
Yeah, the staff report for the public, it's time to pick a mayor pro tem.
I would like to nominate Lee Osborne as mayor pro tem for the coming year,
Second. Are you gonna go
including tax season.
Yeah. You don't get a break there, you know.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll accept that.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Please vote.
Never change.
Motion passes. Congratulations. Okay, well, no, wait, we've got the consent calendar, Lee.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Consent calendar item number 5, regarding the approval contract amendment number 2 to the professional service agreement with Thai Lin International. And there's been a lot of discussion regarding Adam Tree Bridge and getting it completed. And one of the things I want to do here is just want to get an update on why we're not done yet. And we've made an adjustment to Thai Lin's contract and why we're looking at it to it again. I understand what's in your report, but you know, my understanding, I mean, the construction group we have out there is they're a good group and they know what they're doing. And so my concerns are, why are we having to do this again? Thailand's very good in their area of bridges. I respect that. But again, why are we having to do this? Why isn't it done? And of the $83,602 amendment we're looking, I didn't see in here on exactly who is paying that? If it's gonna be the same ratio of different types of funding we've seen in the past, or is this gonna come down to the city's general fund? So those are some of the questions.
Sure,
Thanks.
and I'll try to answer them best as I can. Basically, the contract was delayed first when FTR, the original contractor, walked from the project, basically late February. It took, working with Arch until the early part of July in order to hire Granite and have them take the project back over. So that was the first 6-month delay, and that resulted in amendment number 1 to T.Y. Lynn's contract that we approved. Their completion date then, from July of 2012, was supposed to be mid-August of this year. Of course, liquidated damages at $3,400 a day started in January of last year, or earlier this year. And it totaled almost $700,000. It's in the spreadsheet on attachment number 2, the $697,000 number that you see in the local column. So basically, to answer your question, Councilmember Osborne, the liquidated damages are what we're anticipating is going to pay for the additional time that the construction manager had to spend out there in order to make sure that the city's interests were protected as the project was completed. Exactly why it took Granite past their completion date, it seems like as soon as the bridge was open and the city had beneficial use, it seems like their crews size were reduced. We don't know if that's a legal strategy that they're proposing, that's when liquidated damages should have stopped. Actually, they have said as much in some of the letters to the city. Our stance is that the liquidated damages don't stop until the major work items were completed, which I believe were November 22nd. And so that's when the clock stopped running on Granite. So as it stands right now, as long as the city is successful on the liquidated damages, which we are holding, by the way, it's not like we have to get it from the contractor. Okay. We should have plenty of money to pay T.Y. Lynn's contract and complete the retention payment to the contractor.
No, I see their trucks out there still every day. So when are they gonna be 100% completed? At 100%.
Well, it's any day, really. They had some miscellaneous landscape items that they were completing this week. Before that, I think when we actually did the grand opening, they were just finishing the grading. There was quite a bit of work in the channel that wasn't really apparent from the bridge, but they had to do slope lining, several hundred feet in each direction for the water district, and then regrade after they did that. So there's quite a bit of work that went on in the channel. And then then the last piece was this landscape items and some pickup. But I don't know, Brian McKinney might have a firm date, but I think it's just basically the end of the year is what we're looking at
I'm
this point.
anticipating the project will be 100% done by the end of next week. They're doing punch list items now. Next week they're going to do touch-up painting on the railing and on the bridge barrier rail. And that should be pretty much the last of the work. Yeah.
Okay, well, looking at these reports and knowing that we have numerous engineering companies overseeing this from day one, so I just concerned, and I get a lot of questions out there in the public, when is this thing gonna be completed and how come they're still working on it? And so I'm always concerned about another change order. And so we're holding those funds in respect right now to that liquidated damages.
That's correct.
Are those funds going to be used then to pay this additional $83,000?
That's what we're anticipating at this point. Sure.
And do we have any legal concern about paying this $83,000 out of those funds?
Well, we have one lawsuit right now from Arch Insurance challenging liquidated damages for the first part during the time period where they were getting the substitute contractor. We have received correspondence from Granite suggesting that they may challenge the imposition of of liquidated damages on the tail end. So we've got those two legal issues out there. There's no prohibition about using those funds to pay T.Y. Lin, but ultimately if the city were to be unsuccessful with those claims, it would be backfilling either with, unless there's funding source available from that, from the funds that paid for the project or from the general fund. But we're hopeful that we will be successful with both of those claims.
Well, I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah.
We hope so.
All right, well, and one, I don't know, small question I had. In your report, you talk about the Adams Street Bridge funding and funding source attachment number 2 on this report. And you have anticipated funding LDs, and that means liquidated damages?
Yes.
Okay. Couldn't figure out what that meant. All right, well, that doesn't quite answer my questions, but it gives more information than I had before. Thank you very much, Tim, appreciate it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve this change order as staff has recommended.
Been moved and seconded, please vote. Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to our study session. We have one this evening, and it's tourism website demonstration. Dustin? Or Edie?
It'll be me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor and City Council. Tonight we're just going to go through, spend a few minutes and go through the updated tourism website. The executive summary, we talk about that it was a priority of the new marketing strategies to get this updated so that it's cross-platform accessible, meaning that you can see it on your computer, the same as on your phone, the same as on a tablet, all those devices that people are using. It was completed in November of 2013. However, websites are never complete. They're never finalized. That's one of the benefits of websites is that it's not like a print where you put it out there and if something changes, it's out there. You can make adjustments to it forever if you needed to. I have with us tonight Kate Spates from Graphtech Interactive, who was the designer of the website. And so we'll go through some of the features, but before we do that, I wanted to show you where we came from. So on your screen, you'll see a screenshot of the original tourism website. And so this is where we came from, and this is where we've gone. So you'll see right away that the screen, the photos will rotate, and we talk about staying fit and hiking. We talk about shopping. You'll see one specifically for arts in the festival, and so one of the features about this new site, not only the visual enhancements that we made, were some functional enhancements as well, like expanded search engine optimization, which we talked briefly about at the marketing strategies, but I'd like Kate to kind of talk to you a little bit about how that works and what that means.
Well, really, search engine optimization is all about the content. The search engines want to index each site properly, and so what it does is it looks at a title tag, which we can control and Tustin control, and we can change that. And then it also looks at on-page content. By adding the blog, which we have added, this will increase your content on a regular basis, infused with keywords that people might search for to find La Quinta. And so we're already seeing it progressing up in the search engines where it wasn't performing as well.
So just to capitalize on that a little bit, so if you went to a search engine and typed in La Quinta, you would see La Quinta Inn Suites probably at the #1 tops, and then somewhere in the top 5 you'd see this website, our city website, maybe the La Quinta Resort, and things like that. But additionally, we have things out there to where people are searching for maybe golf in the Coachella Valley, this page will pop up.
Or events in La Quinta or Coachella Valley.
Yeah, Coachella Valley vacations, those types of things. This will populate and will be up near the top of the list. So that's one of the things that is new about this website versus the original. Another thing you'll see is that it's a responsive and a mobile design, which means that when you look at it on the computer, whatever size screen you have, it'll fit it. And then Kate and Nicole also have what are called the cell phones and tablets, so you can see what it looks like.
It's a note, they call it a phablet. It's a phablet, a cross between a phone I don't have a tablet. It actually really essentially looks like an app, and it detects that it's on a smaller
Well,
screen.
on our screen, it looks like they're walking around in a fog, but you don't have that on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the menu is very accessible, so you can just click.
You see the fogs on that over there.
Yeah, this is the tablet version.
Yeah.
It just it repositions things so you can see the content. When it's on a big screen, it shows more of the picture.
Sure.
As it gets smaller, the content comes up.
So that's another one of those functional design elements that now it learns about what you're using, and it'll fit it appropriately to the size screen that you're using. So it's a great feature. Along the lines with that too as well, we have integrated signature and events calendar. So you'll see on this page, when you pull it up, you see the screen, and you can scroll down, and it pops into the signature events. Now, we worked with the CVB, and we got some data from them that clearly indicates, as reported by the hotels in our city and other cities around the valley, that events are what drive the numbers. So when you see a list or a timeline of the year, and you see when the events are held, you see clear spikes in room rentals and rates. And so by learning that, what we did was we tailored the website to show signature events not only in La Quinta, but in our surrounding communities as well. And all these events affect La Quinta in some shape or form. So right off the bat, you'll see the Humana Challenge is the first. Then we have the Hits Horse Show, the Riverside County National Day Fair. You scroll over this way. So they scroll side to side, just so you can see the BMP, the La Quinta Arts Festival, Coachella, Stagecoach, Palm Springs Restaurant Week, and again, back to the Humana Challenge. So we have these signature events, and then an events calendar that will showcase all of the events that we have going on. For example, preschool story time on Wednesday the 1st, First Friday open house at the museum, the Humana community events that are happening the week prior to the event. We have the horse show that are happening, things like that. So they'll have this full event calendar that people can actually go into. They can even create a list if they wanted to see them that way, if they don't want to see the dates, and then it's all printable as well. Another important piece to this, and we talked about this in the marketing strategies, is the integration of social media. And what a big thing it's really taking over right now. You'll see at the top of the page up here, we have integrated all of our social media links, including our Facebook, Twitter, new ones that GravTech has added for us, including what's called Google+, which is another type of social media outlet.
Which helps in search engines as well.
Yeah, it's for search engine optimization. Pinterest, Instagram, and then our Go Request. So people can get to the Go Request app right off the top of the page if they have something. Along with those lines, though, we have integrated at the bottom. Kate was talking about the blog, which is right here located at the bottom of the home page. But if you click Facebook, it'll bring up the Facebook postings right on our website, so people can see that.
And it's not leaving that home page at all. It's all integrated in that area.
On the same page,
so
and then the
scroll
Twitter
up,
as well.
You can see that you didn't leave that page. It just transitions.
Yeah. So it's all integrated there. And then we want to talk to you about the blog. She mentioned it briefly, but Kate, why don't you tell them a little bit about the blog as well?
Well, we came up with the idea of having guest bloggers. Because you have La Quinta residents, you have people that are kind of community visible in the community, city staff, Andrea Carter, who's handled your marketing for a long time. We actually came up with an idea to write a blog about the Go requests and have Tim, contribute to that blog. And we'll just continue to come up with new ideas and ask people. But we also have you could be a guest blogger, so that we'll get people kind of interested in that. And you might not, there might be a gem that you don't even know about that says that they'd like to write something. And they would obviously submit it first, and it would have to be approved by everybody. But then it really ties it in and makes it more community-based.
Right, so on top of that, we have a message from Bob Mara about the Humana Challenge. We have a submission from Andrea Carter about what La Quinta is, about the gem of the desert. We have something about home hosting regarding the La Quinta Arts Festival. We're talking with the Chamber of Commerce to do a blog with us. We're talking with Katie Barrows to do some hiking, and some Philip Ferranti to do some hiking blogs as well. So this is really about the stakeholders and other interested parties that are participating in the website, which also helps with our search engine optimization. Along the lines of that too, we have some really interesting things to do list area. We have shopping, hiking, biking, obviously golf, some restaurants, arts and culture, which you'll see pops up, and its own La Quinta Arts Foundation and Museum. I'll click on the Arts Foundation page so you can see it. A nice big graphic talking about the Arts Foundation, some of the upcoming events, including the Arts Festival, as well as Art Under the Umbrellas and the listing of their continuing schedule. So that's all on there that people can access.
Can you show the restaurants?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump to the restaurants next.
Real
yes.
quick, those are hyperlinks also?
Yes.
That will go to their own websites?
That's correct,
Thank
yes. Yeah, so you can buy the tickets by clicking here, which will take them to the ticket site of the La Quinta Arts Foundation website. So it's literally a direct link that goes right to it.
But it opens in a new window.
Right.
All third-party external links will open a new window, so when they close that out, they still come back to your site.
Another cool piece to this is the shopping and restaurants. I'll click on the restaurants so you can all see.
That's my favorite.
So for example, let's say you want to go out to eat, you're not sure what you want, you can look at an entire list alphabetically of all the restaurants that we have in the city.
And it shows
But-
you there's 94 right there.
Yeah, 94. There's 94 that we show. But if you want Mexican, maybe Asian, maybe a deli, you can click those.
And it's doing it on the fly.
Yeah.
It's filtering on the fly.
So I don't even have to click submit or anything. It automatically will pull it up. Adobe Grill, Canton Bistro, Chipotle, even Del Taco's in the
Wow.
mix. So it'll
great.
automatically filters
looks like
out
an
what you're
app on
looking
the
for,
phone.
and it gives you a list. And you'll see that it contains, you can go to their website if they have one, or you can click the map feature, which will show you exactly where it's located in the city. And so people that have smartphones can take that and literally get driving directions directly to where that's located. Same thing with the shopping. You can select the types of shops you want to go to, and it'll give you the same amount of information. We also wanted to show you on the front page we have a couple of interactive maps.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Back to the restaurant.
Sure.
You had talked about the website being so updatable, and this is an area under the restaurants that really always needs attention. Sadly, they come and go.
Mhm.
But, so I assume that's gonna be not like it was on our smartphone where it was months before anything happened.
No, the great part about this is that if whether whoever finds out whether it's their staff or our staff first, either of us can jump on it, make the change on the fly.
And it's like literally 30 seconds to make the change.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's very easy to
And
do.
and it goes across to the mobile. It's not like you have an app to update or anything like that.
And if a business comes into business license like coming soon, Mongolian barbecue up at,
Love it,
is
yeah.
that something that will be there with the coming soon, so people can reflect on that, or?
Yeah, no, if you do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, you just let us know. You're probably the first to know, right?
Right, we should be. Well,
And so
right
that-
after those brokers.
You do know who Coming Soon is, don't you? He's a very wealthy Chinese man.
Coming soon.
Coming Soon.
On the business license side, a question,
Never heard.
is there some flow directly from them to you?
Not yet. We're
Okay.
we're currently building a process for that.
Okay.
Yeah, but currently there isn't one, but we're working on a process
That
that
would
will.
make life easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I wanted to just take you through one of the last final elements of this, and that's an interactive map that we have created, that GraphTech has created for us with the local attractions. Now this is a Google map that you can pull up, and you'll see that you have selections here. These are the venues of these signature events,
Oh,
or
so close
you
to
can
La
do
Quinta.
various golf clubs
Amazing.
and golf courses. You can either click them and it'll show you where it's at, or you can literally click the golf course itself and it'll tell you, what it is, where it's located, things of that sort. So that's one of the maps, but I also wanted to show you this other new map that we have as well. It's an interactive hiking map that we developed. And these are the trails out in the cove, and if you can see, you can click on it, and it'll tell you what it is. The parking lot to Cove Oasis, 0.4 miles or 0.65 kilometers, and dogs are allowed. So, for example, this works in conjunction, and that's an important piece, the dogs are allowed or not
Yeah.
allowed. But this works in conjunction with a new hiking map, an actual printed map that we've developed that will actually give you, if you don't want to take the map with you, you can literally scan the code on the map, goes right to this website, and you can see where you're at. We also have extended with GPS locations kind of
Does
stuff.
that go to search and rescue as well?
Yeah. And so we've included some of the additional files too that'll tell you elevation and all that kind of stuff.
Now,
So-
those paths, is that a whitewash kind of paint there, so when it rains, that all goes away?
Becomes a Monet.
You mean this, the white paths here?
No, I'm talking about the green and the orange.
Oh.
and the
Yeah, those actually are the colors that we have up in there already. So for example, if people want to know about if people are hiking up there and they call us and say, we want to know about the orange markers, we can tell them that that's the the Cove to Lake Trail, and so they work in conjunction with each other. So other than that, I mean, this is a very highly functional. We've got some videos. We have a link to real estate, a very intuitive contact us form where people can send in questions or comments or things about the website, or if they are interested in knowing more about La Quinta, that will come to me and a couple of other staff that we can get back to. We've already received a number of emails from folks. But other than that, Kate, do you have anything else you want to talk to them about?
I don't think so.
Okay, other than that,
How do we go from, where's the link to get to our official city website that has all the government piece on it?
That is
I'm
actually
missing.
coming. That's coming.
Oh,
Yes.
and then on our,
Yes.
on our existing website.
Yes, they'll talk to each other. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And just so you know, an update with the existing city's municipal website.
Mhm.
I sit on the committee with members from every department, and we are getting close. The design is kind of finalized now. They're working on the development side, and we're looking at about a February 1st release date for that. So,
And Tustin, do you want to explain why there's two websites?
well, yes, that's the
For the
municipal site
benefit.
is great for all of the official city business.
Mhm.
So people looking for permits, or people looking for information on various meetings, commissions, and things like that, official announcements, those types of things. The tourism side is more about getting folks to the city and showing them the various things they can do while they're here, and including the weekend events or people that are coming on for are staying, or also can access hotel reservations. That's another thing too. On our homepage, you can see that people can book a hotel right from the front page, right here. So it's all right there.
And
So-
then in
It's for
terms of
community, too.
web trends reports on
Mhm.
tracking back user sites, time on pages, all of that?
Absolutely. We use Google Analytics.
Okay,
to
perfect.
put that all in.
Yeah, and it's fairly new, so we'll have a report for you, probably next quarter or two,
Mhm.
give you some hard data.
Right. And we'll show reports on how you're doing better in your rankings too, with all of our efforts,
Very good.
with the social media and everything.
I like that positive approach.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's all
I'm
about
not
growth.
happy if it's not doing that.
It's not going up. This is
Question.
fabulous.
If I can. Now, so all this stuff to make it high on that list, I know I pulled this up a couple days ago, but how are we gonna keep it there? I mean, years from now, 5 years from now, how are we gonna make sure it's still up there?
It's
Because last
really-
time I looked, 6 months ago, than last year, it was like on page 3 or 4.
Mhm. It's really an ongoing effort. And
Right.
so it's definitely part of our whole digital marketing campaign, is just to continually work at that and measure it. It's all about content and keeping the site fresh, making sure everything is perfect and that it's structured, so that the search engines can properly index it.
So what are we gonna do in-house to make sure 2 years from now and 3 years from now that we're doing all this?
Well, it's really about the process. Yeah, it's an ongoing process. So as we create new events or we update things, it'll all be going streamlined right through the process and into the content management system. And we'll work with GraphTech to make sure that those blogs are updated regularly, and we've got new content, because that's an important piece for SEO.
Well,
And
and-
it's, yeah.
2 years from now, there'll be
It'll all
something
change.
totally different.
Exactly. I was gonna say that
Things,
the
technology
logarithms-
changes so quickly in the computer business.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, we have websites. I think Mike might have helped me years ago with one, but, so I can appreciate we need to do this, we need to update it. There's quite a bit you guys have put in, and that's pretty cool about the maps and everything else and be able to get a hotel room. It's not an exceptional website as much as I'd like to see an exceptional website. I mean, if I'm from Chicago and I want to come down here to the desert, what's going to differentiate La Quinta from Palm Desert or Rancho Mirage or Palm Springs? And if they see this and they have no other clue about La Quinta other than this website, why are they going to choose us over Palm Springs? Because I don't see that here.
Well, when they look at that map and the signature events, and they're gonna see that we're closest
Well,
to everything going on except for the film
Given that
festival.
they see that, if they see a lagoon, or a couple people hiking, I don't know that that's gonna bring them here versus some of the other cities here in the Coachella Valley. I would like to, I mean, the Arts Foundation, or the Arts Festival, I should say, I mean, there's some pretty colors with all of that and activity with all of that. the golf in La Quinta, we have some amazing golf courses, some
Well, and the great
exceptional
thing
golf
is,
courses.
those pictures can be swapped out very easily, and we should swap them out. So it will almost look like a redesign every time we swap out the pictures.
Okay.
So anytime we get a new photography, that's captured a beautiful sunset or whatever, we'll continually keep that
And when are we
fresh.
gonna get those?
This is, actually,
Those
Lee, this
photographs.
is the first set of new photography. These are all brand-new photos that you've never seen before.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have this is only about 4 or 5 of the ones. We have 12 that we've taken that we've actually got, so
Are
you'll
we
see
gonna
some
have
stuff.
in-house, are we gonna have a system that we're updating these on a regular basis, so we bring?
Yes.
Cause I'm really wasn't that excited about this website, but, I mean, you guys have a lot of cool things in there as far as information goes. But to draw somebody to come to La Quinta versus another city in this desert, I don't see that with this website.
Well, we really took an approach to, be really friendly to families and
Mhm.
to seniors. So rather than really get you into one niche, we really, took the focus of art, family, and seniors, and just in the community. And that's illustrated in pictures. And so anytime we swap out pictures, if there's an audience that you think we need to go after, we can capture that with an image.
You guys have all the demographics, you guys have all the stats on who comes here, and so you know that better than I do. I don't, but I just wanna make sure this is exceptional, better than any other city in this valley. That's what my concern is.
Is there another city site that you like better?
I have not looked at Palm Springs or Rancho Mirage or Palm Desert, to say, but I just wanna make sure that this is, and.
Lee, you
not
do
a lot
have
say.
to remember you're a CPA.
I know, and for CPAs or actuaries, this is pretty cool.
And once they're on this site, we've won them.
But, I mean, like,
It's
the
their book
golf,
of rooms.
we've got some of the best golf courses in the country here. And if you love to play golf, this is the place to be, and so, that's one of the,
Should there be a Silver Rock link on the homepage, is there?
there should be a Silver Rock.
It's the first up when you go to the
Yeah,
golf.
Thank you.
pictures of
Okay.
Silver Rock.
When you go to golf.
When you go
And
to
then,
golf.
and yeah,
There it is, right there.
When you don't go to golf.
Okay, are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished, thank you.
Good.
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna make a comment, I'm gonna totally disagree with my compadre over here. I find this website outstanding. I love the color, it speaks to me, and it looks like it's very user-friendly. We've had a website or two in the past that wasn't so user-friendly, shall we say. But I love the signature events. And when I go on a website, I don't just look at the first or the second thing. I like to see what's there, And you are an accountant, so, and a CPA. He does have a sense of humor, though.
Yes, he does.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank goodness.
Very, very good. And
What's our connection on the CVB site?
We're working with them, they're going through an update on their website right now.
Exactly, right.
And so, yeah, we're working with Bob and Jessica to make sure that everything meshes really well with ours. They're instituting a new map feature with theirs, so you can essentially select your community once you get here. So if you're staying in La Quinta, you literally click the La Quinta on the map, and it'll take you to this site.
And they're featuring the La Quinta hiking video, by the way.
I just got the email.
I
It'll
got
be
the-
on here shortly.
Good, okay, I was gonna say, I got that today from Scott, because they're highlighting that
Yeah.
one of the main things when people go to hotels, they say, where can we hike?
We run out of hiking maps regularly, so.
Excellent.
One of the things that I noticed on this site, as opposed to the older one, the one that we had, was this was more complete. When you went to a map, you got a map, and you got a good map.
when you went to a restaurant, you got one that's still open.
Yeah, and so it was, and even the maps on the other one, it was like, okay, now what? This map, it's not moving, So, no, this seems to be much more complete and much more, you're gonna be able to get to the answer that you want, whatever you went on site
Yeah.
for.
And the good news is you can change on a daily basis and update it, and that's a positive thing. I think it's a positive step moving forward to promote the city of La Quinta, and it's a good step forward.
Great job.
Yeah, great
Thank you.
job.
Good job.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, that concludes our study session. We'll move on to reports and informational items. Linda, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll make mine very easy. CVAC doesn't meet in December, and I reported last time on our CVB, but we did hold the annual meeting and reception last week and had a fabulous presentation by Maestro Roger Nierenberg from the Music Paradigm. And I convinced Frank to attend. We had a team from the hospital that attended, and he had a live orchestra there and incorporated teamwork, leadership, transitions, change, collaboration into music, and showed that through listening. And it was pretty incredible. So it was just something different that they did, and had a great turnout. So meetings will continue in January.
Okay. Christie?
I don't know. I mean, no, I do know. Sorry about that. Let's start over. No, I'm all finished with, there's nothing, except CVAP does have an economic summit tomorrow. Leadership summit thing, which I'll be going to.
I'm going to a portion of it.
Yeah, and then everything else is like in January for my stuff.
Yeah. Take notes, I'm playing golf.
Yes, I intend to take copious notes, and you'll get that 9-page email, not to worry.
Okay, Terry?
No meeting, Riverside County Transportation Commission meeting did take place. It was in Corona. I was unable to make it. Believe me, I would rather have made it than be unable to make it. And actually it was held in Corona because they did the groundbreaking for the 91.
Oh, yeah, that section.
The start of that, and it's going to be just, it's going to be fabulous when it's done 3 years from now or 4 years from now. But,
in the meantime, traffic is going to build up.
Yeah, it's just going to be a heck of a mess.
Yeah.
But that's the only
That's it?
activity that I've had in December.
Okay, Lee?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had the 2x2 meeting with Desert Sands Unified School District. And it was a good meeting. We had that just last week, I want to say. And the superintendent was there, a couple of board members were there, and it was a good meeting. The principal of the high school talked about a couple of programs they have going. They have a program called Name Calling, and to work with, at the sophomore level, to work with these kids, understanding what name calling can do and the negative aspects of it. And so, and they decided to use it at the sophomore level because they can understand it better about it. The freshmen are having a tough time, just being in there. But so that was a good thing. I mentioned the aspect of traffic on Westward Ho and the possibility of using their resource officer. And their safety department had talked about that's the wrong time to pull the resource officer away from the school, because that morning and that afternoon are the time when non-students want to come on campus, or they have problems with that type, so they need to have that resource officer there. So we may need to look at other solutions in regard to traffic issues there, whether it be on Dune Palm or Westward Ho, because they can't afford to lose their resource officer at that point in time. He brought up a new safety issue called the safety lock, which was a pretty cool contraption that you put onto the door, and all you have to do is step on it, and it puts a bolt into the cement, into the concrete to secure that door. So when they have emergencies, as they just had last week in Colorado, they can lock the kids up much faster and much quicker and much more secure than having a teacher trying to fumble for the keys, which key is it to which door is it. And they're struggling with the aspect of paying for this safety lock on all the doors on all the campuses they have. It's about $125 a unit. And so they're looking for manner to pay for this safety lock.
How much do we send to school?
And
How much do we send to schools?
it's a pretty, we just sent them, but that just meant money that the governor could keep for himself. But anyway, it's a pretty cool system for the safety of these kids. I mean, they can have these kids in a safe place, within a minute or two. And again, as we just saw in Colorado last week, high school safety continues to be a big issue. And no high school is exempt, unfortunately. But and we hate to see kids, either lost or injured from these problems. Also, they talked about the La Quinta Middle School has got an Anderson grant that'll be running out soon, and it's working with its math program, and it recently got awards in Riverside County on their math scores at the middle school, which is great news. Yeah. So it's great. We'll have another meeting, I believe, in March, is what they said. And of course, Wendy, Jonathan was there, and I needed to make sure that they reminded us that the La Quinta High School was the #1 high school versus Palm Desert and others. But it was a good meeting, and it's good to have these so we can talk about different aspects for the city and the school district.
I had no meeting, so we'll move on to departmental reports. City manager?
We have a couple of reports. The first is a response to the comments we received on December 3rd to the North La Quinta Assessment District. In your agenda packet, we put responses that to the questions that were raised. We also put the materials and the postcards we used, and we're here to answer any questions you or anybody else may have regarding this item.
Questions of staff?
I don't have any questions, Mr. Mayor, but I do think that it's getting critical that the council have perhaps a public discussion on this, whether you want to call it a study session or whatever, because of the rumors that are going around and the folks that are writing letters and the nastiness that's in those letters that I think is uncalled for. And it's very clear to me that the tone of a lot of those letters, these folks don't have really an indication of what they're talking about. We are not sitting here in any fashion, way, or shape in wanting to do anything to damage folks. We are trying to maintain a community, and we're trying to do it within the law and within the boundaries of the methods that we have in place to do it in. Everybody, I personally, I agree with a lot of folks that we ought to do it across the board, everybody pay another $40 or $60. But once we do, we can't do that because it has to be a benefit assessment district. And therefore, there's going to be folks that are paying more than other ones. And these systems that are out there that we have to work with are complicated, accomplish something or other. And we need to try to have the folks on the north side understand that we're not trying to damage them in any way, and that there are reasons that we are where we are, and that what was our revenue loss from '05? In sales tax. I mean, and TOT, we went down 35% in revenues, and we took major cuts, and we had major layoffs at City Hall. So, everybody had to suffer a little bit, and we're just slowly coming back from that, and the message isn't out there. And I'm sorry I'm rambling, but it's just, Tim is no way is he going to go out there and try to do something to these people or give them false information or misguide them or whatever, and it's coming back as though this is the first time in the world we've ever talked about it. And the unfortunate thing is this is the 18th year that we've talked about it and done nothing.
Well, that's part of the problem.
And if there is a problem, it is the problem that we created by doing nothing. So then maybe we need to look at a scaled down version of beginning to bring things back at a slower pace rather than I don't know, but
I think you're right as far as we created a lot of this over the long years. I mean, one of the biggest issues that I'm hearing from folks out there is that, look, City of La Quinta, you guys created this problem. Don't expect us to pay for it. You need to pay for it. And that's what they're saying. And whether, we messed up with those developers 20 years ago, and not having
Well,
them
and-
take care of these things then.
It's been more about we've had the money to cover it, and now we don't.
Yeah, and
That's
that's what
been-
they're looking at, because they're
that's
gonna look
been
at any way they
everything.
can not to, and whether the map issue that the
Well,
gentleman talked about the other day.
I'm also hearing things like the Cove is getting more attention with all the landscaping that's being taken care of up there. The Cove's got one median.
I know, I said that one time, and no, just kidding, I didn't.
It has one median, Eisenhower. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, as
it's-
of a month ago.
You know, it's gonna be a big challenge.
Well, the bottom line is, we're not trying to force an assessment on anybody, and that, we just threw out options and, just to try and help, and, they took it the wrong way.
Well, the survey's due out soon.
We
Right.
haven't, yes,
You
we're
haven't-
working
you're
on a
drafting it,
draft right
correct.
now to basically send out and just get an idea with a self-addressed envelope and come back where folks sit. Unfortunately, the people you heard from last time seem to fall into that third group I was describing at my update. They really feel like that this is not their fault. It doesn't matter what the city's been through the last 5 or 6 years. They bought the house where they bought it based on not having an assessment district, and there's no way they're going to approve it. But I can just tell you that hasn't been the sentiment of everybody that's been coming to the workshops. In fact, a lot of folks like in Rancho Ocotillo are really interested in it and wanted to start, next week.
Yeah.
So it runs the gamut, and until we get some sort of written response back from folks,
Right.
it's really hard to gauge where people's threshold might be. And we'll do this by individual developments also, so that we can, separate, maybe the folks in Acacia don't want anything. Okay, fine, they can just, just go on with the regular landscape, L&L district maintenance. But maybe other folks really do want to see an increase in their perimeters and an increase in property value that we think would go along with that, and that realtors have actually told us would come.
But Tim, we are dealing with, not public land, but private land, right?
These are easements that have been dedicated to the city. It happens all over the city. That technically the right-of-way in the Cove extends behind the curb, but we don't maintain those parkways. And so it's just a unique situation that happened with these 11 subdivisions that they landed under the L&L district maintenance without creating a way of paying the city back for it.
Let's bring Jerry Herman back in here.
Well, anyway, I think there's a solution. I really do. And yeah, so we're gonna have to come, all of us, out of pocket somewhere at some minimal amount of money. There is a solution, whether we go to, a rock and a kind of a rock garden with some landscaping, or with gravel, so it's neat and clean looking, and then as it goes on and on into the future, as economies come back and other homes come online and there's more money going into the L&L, maybe they can begin to be improved more,
We could use the Airport Boulevard median as a good example
Yeah.
of the rocks, and
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
awful. That's the
Well,
ugliest
it's
thing
better
I've
than
ever
it was
seen.
when it was just dirt.
So you find
Okay.
a standard, simple standard that we can use, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well,
That makes sense.
when we get that threshold of what people are willing to put into an assessment district, then we'll know where we are in relation to the improvements that we could make based on that. By the way, the budgets still include a recognition that there's a general benefit from this also. So it's not like the entire thing is trying to be placed on these 11 subdivisions, and that is something that a lot of people misunderstood as well.
Now, the number I've been hearing going around is this $481. Is that the number that you're looking at from these?
That was the
annual?
Yeah, that was the what I was referring to as the Cadillac plan.
Well, I'll tell you, there's no way I would vote for that. I
Well,
don't know what-
and that was the upper limit if you wanted to replace everything that was around the perimeter of that
Would
particular
that be a
subdivision.
one-time thing then?
No, that was, the cost of doing all of the replacements was somewhere in the range of $11 or $12 million.
Oh, well,
So, you know, you divide, so that's almost $1 million per subdivision that we're talking about. So to finance that, for that particular subdivision, making a lot of assumptions on how the city would borrow money, bonding, and everything else, we came up with that number. But there was also a number about halfway in between if they wanted to do something less. And then, of course, the default option is still, you know, no additional cost. And we talked about all three of those options. And the no additional cost, by the way, did not come with turning off the water to anything.
I'm sure.
So,
Well, you gave them options.
and that's all we were trying to do. I mean, if you had a chance to look at the slides, the first thing I said we were trying to do is just get information out to the residents. And I think the people that had time or took the time to come down to the evening workshops or one of the Saturday workshops, I think they got the complete picture. But a lot of people just, you know, we talked to those people about talking to their neighbors and explaining this. You know, I think a lot gets lost in translation, unfortunately, and then they just jump to that high number and they say, well, that's what the city plans on assessing.
Tim,
That isn't the case.
I want to thank you for all the effort that you've put into this, and I know where your intentions were. However, we have to deal with perception on a regular basis, and this has gotten legs that it shouldn't have. And I think that we go with Terry's recommendation as soon as that survey's in, and just hit it full force. My dad told me a long time ago, if you mess up, own up, fix it and move on. And that's what we need to do here. We got ourselves in this mess somehow, you know, whatever. We don't need to back up and try and explain that. Here it is. We did it, and there is a solution. Don't know what it is right now, but we can come to a solution. But ignoring it and hoping it'll go away or leaving it the same is not an option in my opinion. So it needs to be, like you said, as a study session, and we just own it. See what we can do there's plenty of alternatives out there for getting it done. But I appreciate what you've done so far. We just don't want this to have, and it's already almost there. There are folks in La Quinta who just love to take a stab.
Yes.
And they're already out there, and the comments are ugly and so out of control and way off the wall.
Stirred up by an individual.
Yes. So, but thank you very much. The sooner that we can't nip it in the bud because it's already out there, but the sooner that we can have a solid solution, and not everybody's going to agree to it, but when you reach in somebody's pocket, we've got to be very careful about that too. You can't take away what you've already given.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. And we do have a couple of people that request to speak on this item, so let's do it at this time. And that first one is Richard Gray.
Thank you very much.
Give us your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm Richard Gray. I live at 44120 Camino Azul in Rancho Cotillo. And I do want to speak about this. I was very interested in what was happening, and I don't think that I did attend a couple of these meetings, so I was informed about this. One of the things is this paper that was put on mailboxes in my area, in which it mentions the 480-150, plus saying that there would be an approximately 3% increase year to year. This is one of the real issues that I think a lot of other people would be concerned about, because that's more than the Proposition 13 increase. It's more than your pension or Social Security or any other kind of increase. And it appears to be, for someone like me or anyone else, I believe, it appears to be one way to increase taxes outside of the Proposition 13.
And because of that, and because I saw your letter and what the discussions that we need to have, that would not take place.
Right.
So what you got was a preliminary piece of paper that needed to be massaged.
That didn't come from the city.
No, that was
No.
a homeowner.
Right, somebody in Rancho Cotillo that's,
Yeah,
I think I may have actually met the
No, a
person in one of the
homeowner
meetings.
Homeowner crafted
Yes.
that. Oh, yeah, that did not come from us.
Not us.
But I understand that, I do understand that, and it actually says here, and it does give you an idea of how you can go to the web page, which it is rather difficult to actually find things on the web page, but I did go back and I saw that in the last meeting there were a number of people who spoke, and I presume they spoke against this, because I didn't see anybody listed as speaking in favor of it. I personally am in favor of some kind of improvement. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, Fred Waring is going to have that road work that will change and improve the wall along Fred Waring from Rancho Cotillo. However, on Adams, the wall on Rancho Cotillo has a lot of missing pieces, and sometimes somebody's going to have to paint it. I don't know what the deal is with that, nor with any of the other subdivisions that we're talking about here, because it's very likely that the same thing will come up at some point. It's not just landscape, hardscape, but walls, grading, so forth and so on. So I would hope that there would be some very serious consideration about what all you do want to do, bring out the idea of how it's going to benefit us. It's hard to think that if it were a $481 deal and that had increased 3% year to year.
No, somebody just did that.
I understand that, but we do understand that there will be an increase, and one of the problems that you have with the $35.60 is there's been no increase over the
Right.
over the
And
30
then
years.
after we put that in, the legislature passed 218 that barred us from being able to do that. So our hands were tied.
Well, that has not been made clear to me or to
Yeah,
anyone else
well,
beforehand.
there
But
are-
at the same time, it's fairly obvious to people who live there to think that the public face, which are these parkways and a very small entrance thing that we have at Rancho Cotillo is very, very small. These are part of the public face that the whole city has. And throughout the city, you have other public faces. Now, some are being paid for by condominiums where they have a fee for that. And I have no way of verifying it, but there was quite a bit of information about how it is on different condominiums to what they pay for. But they're paying for much more than just the landscaping. They're also paying for the privilege and the safety and
Everything
so
else that goes with it, yes.
Plus, they have the fact that they can talk to their homeowners association face to face a little bit easier than perhaps a citizen might feel with the city. On the whole, I'm in favor of doing something because I know it has to be done. I would like it to be explained if there's going to be any of these increases and so forth. And then one of the things that really hits me is if we were going to take 877 people, property owners, and charge them, in this case, $481.50, why would that same amount have to be charged each year?
It doesn't, that's just somebody's hoopty-wonk.
Who knows?
Which is why we're gonna have the study session and go over this.
That's why we gotta get rid of that piece of paper.
Well, when we had one of the meetings, the question was, is this going to be a 20 or 25-year term or something like that? Because the idea, of course, is that our areas are 20-plus-year-old. And so it's kind of obvious to anyone that landscaping, piping, lighting, things have to be changed after a certain period of time. We all do that on our own homes. But it was said, no, this is going to go on forever. So this would be a permanent assessment. If there's going to be a change, the amount of permanent assessment, the amount of money, because I don't know who came up with $481.50, but there was several, I have the pages here, there were several options, 1, 2, and 3, that were given for our areas with approximate amounts, between 500 and 600, between this amount and that amount. So, at any rate, my comments simply are on the fact that if there's going to be any increase, that would have to be, in my mind, tied to the Proposition 13 increase.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, that makes
And
good sense.
the only way there'll be an increase anyways if you guys vote for it.
Right.
Yeah.
We can't do it.
But I think when it's explained to everyone, look, we had this 3560 back in 1985 or whenever
We
it was.
still have it.
Yeah.
Right, now, it's hard for us to understand how come we're going to go forward and we're going to compensate completely for what was done in the past, yet everyone else that pays $35.60 is going to continue paying $35.60.
Didn't you just say that there was an increase, a citywide increase?
It could apply to what he said. There was a general benefit potentially, opportunity in addition to.
No, what the deal is that the current assessment or landscape and lighting district is fixed at that amount.
We know
If
that.
we were to go back and redo that, then we would do it on a citywide basis and different.
Everybody pays for it.
Everybody pays, but they pay a different amount based upon the benefit they get from that area.
Like Indian Wells does.
Well, it's, yes, in light
Okay,
of law, yes.
but when you go to a benefit assessment district, it's like the house that lives, that's closest to the park
Yeah.
is gonna pay
Right.
more than me, cause I live at the top of the cove, but I'm not near a park.
And that's not
And-
our idea, that's the law.
That's the law.
That's the law.
And that's
If
the
you had
law.
an overall amount calculated as to what it's going to take to do this and maintain it over the years, it would seem to me that certain large commercial properties would be paying more than would houses.
It doesn't work that way.
Why not?
The way the law was changed under Proposition 218, that was approved by the California voters as part of the Constitution, is that those groups that are closer to the area that's being improved or maintained are considered to have a higher benefit from it, so they pay more. So that's the formula that we have to operate under at this point in time.
But you do have commercial properties that have these huge decorated medians. I know they take care of perhaps their own
Correct.
parkway right next to the street, but at least the medians, which are part of the landscape and lighting.
And they would pay a certain assessment accordingly also. Where the challenge comes in with the North La Quinta subdivisions is that because the city not only maintains the center median, but maintains the parkway, if we went to this benefit assessment district, that would be seen as additional costs that would then be levied against those subdivisions if this assessment district was approved.
Right, I understand. And for me, it's just a simple citizen. If you think about it, the tremendous amount of beautiful work that was done on Fred Waring from Washington East,
Yeah,
which you financed somehow, I don't know.
the builders, wasn't that all bonded for, it was all bonded for by the builders.
Okay, but unless that's brought out, the assumption that a citizen would have is that that's part of your L&L, and you're choosing where you're going to put the money, and you're putting a lot of money in
Okay,
some
so that's
area.
why we're gonna have this study session.
Well,
That's why we're gonna correct the situation.
We can't do that. We wouldn't, but we can't anyway.
Right, but I do think the interest rate year to year is an important point.
Absolutely.
Bringing up the fact that you can or can't do things because of Proposition 2 and the.
218.
Right, and I've come to the meetings that I've known about, and unfortunately, I didn't get all of the postcards. I got one for the second study meeting and one for another general meeting, but I didn't get the other end.
Okay, we'll try to get you all caught up.
Yeah,
But thank you for coming up here tonight, we really appreciate it, we need this information.
good. Dennis?
Dennis Arcuri, 45415 Ashwood Court. I came here basically to say I guess I'm both premature and too late. Premature in that I haven't prepared enough, and too late because things have been going on for so long. But I guess I could go either way on this, really. Having waited around 2 hours, I'm going to use up my 3 minutes. I'm not so concerned about cost per se as in what's going to be done, you know, and what kind of landscaping and all that stuff. I saw the 3 options that were on the website, and I was like, you know, I could. But then I realized that I should have provided input at one of those workshops, and sorry, you know what? I know someday somebody's going to say, there's going to be a meeting, and somebody is going to say, they crashed into the Twin Towers in New York City. Nobody ever told me. And, you know,
Yeah.
I've heard that kind of thing before, so I really don't want to go down that path. The ignorance may only be on my part, but I never saw anything on this. The only thing I saw on this was probably 2 weeks ago, somebody left a flyer.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of those people you're thinking of going around,
Well, can you help us,
over my
you know,
dead body.
Dennis, you've been in this business a long time. Can you help with what's the best way to get notices to people?
I'm sorry, what is the best way?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
how do we
you
get
know
a
what?
notice?
I sympathize with you on that point, because I know it is difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you mail something out, do people get it? Do they not get it? Do they notice it? Do they not notice it?
Right, right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. And where I'm coming from is I got a steep learning curve here now. And I don't particularly like the 3 options. I'll tell you one, my own particular thing was, the first thing I did when I bought my house was they ripped out all the grass in the front yard and put in desert landscaping. And Coachella Valley Water District and the city of La Quinta, thank you very much, paid me $1,000 apiece to do that. And so when I see overseeding of retention basins and annual flowers, I'm not real hot on that. I know some people are, but the desert aesthetic works really well for me. And if we had to pay, an assessment for a nice desert aesthetic, I'd be behind that. But I look forward to learn more. I'm gonna shut
Thank
up
you for
now.
coming.
No, so the good news is
And
we're.
keep listening. You've got my email.
Dennis, the good news is we do have a survey that's being prepared that will give you yet another opportunity for feedback. So you're
Okay.
not too late,
Okay.
all right? You're in the middle.
Well, we'll keep you in the loop.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Okay, that concludes that comment. And then, city attorney?
Oh, I have one more
Oh,
thing.
wait, excuse
if I
me.
may. A survey came out by our state controller, John Chang, about the salaries that are paid to public agency employees and that on 2012. Had a chance to look at it. It identifies that out of the 478 cities that reported, an average wage for all city employees is $62,220 a year. The city of La Quinta's average wage on this same survey was $58,454. It also indicated that the average retirement and healthcare cost was $17,401. Our city of La Quinta's costs are $14,670. If you look at all the cities listed here, the 478, the city of La Quinta is ranked 106th. And here in the Coachella Valley, the cities of Palm Desert, Cathedral City, Indian Wells, Desert Hot Springs, Palm Springs, and Indio all rank higher than us in terms of average salaries and average benefits. And the cities that are below us are Rancho Mirage by $114 and the city of Coachella. So in case you're out there at Christmas parties and people are wondering about where we rank and what this is about, some information, it is on the state controller's website.
Good.
Managing well.
Yep.
Thanks, Frank. City
I have no
attorney?
report.
Okay, city clerk?
Yes, I wanted to give you some information about some new laws that will affect you during the election and even our meetings here. Now, regarding the meetings, SB 751 requires local agencies to publicly report the actions and the vote or abstentions on every action of every member present. So starting in January, we will begin that. So we will announce for the audio, for the video, not only motion passed, but motion passed 3-2 with, and then you list the council members who voted no or yes, whichever way, so that it's on the record.
So you will do that then? That'll be.
Yes, I can do that.
And if it's unanimous, we don't have to
If
list.
you're unanimous, you can say unanimous or 5-0, of course. AB 382, written information concerning alternative investments is now exempt. It was not before. So that's important. They're trying to align the Brown Act regulations with the Public Record Act regulations. So that is one move that they made.
So that means that there are certain documents that were protected and not able to be released, and now that's not the case, or
It's the
vice versa?
opposite.
It's the opposite.
It's the
So
opposite.
we have documents that will be protected,
That's right.
like the Brown Act.
There'll be financial documents concerning alternative investments. So your finance director will make that determination that these are documents that are, that do not need to be disclosed.
Okay.
So, and then we'll, in releasing the agenda, we'll do so appropriately to protect those.
Okay.
So then those are documents that would not come before our investment advisory board.
They don't address that. If it's
Well,
something
they're-
that,
They're public and we're inviting people to come to the meetings.
I would
If-
be happy to, provide at our next meeting a little further update on that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Spirit of transparency.
Interesting, AB 817 authorized elections officials to appoint up to 5 non-voters to serve as precinct board members now. They can't be an inspector, and they cannot tally votes, but they can work at polls now. They have to be 18 years of age, however.
A non-voter,
Mm-hmm. Which would mean somebody who's a legal resident but not a citizen can be a poll worker now.
okay.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It doesn't say we are mandated to do that, does it?
It just
No.
provides the option.
No.
Thank you.
And it would be the county registrar of voters who would do that.
Who assigns those individuals.
SB 311 is a proposal to amend, it is any proposal to amend a city charter must go to the voters at a statewide general election. You can no longer go at primary or special election. So that would affect us should we decide to do that. One that becomes operative in July, SB 553, and this measure applies existing practices used with benefit assessment elections to property-related fee elections, and it proposes to impose the same regulations. In other words, it would have to go through the official county registrar and be handled as a normal election. We'll see how that comes out. Regarding affecting my office is a constitutional amendment proposed for the June election, where the costs of implementing the Public Records Act and the Brown Act, which are supposed to be reimbursables to us, although no city has ever received a reimbursement.
Unfunded mandate.
Yeah. So the proposal now is to amend the Constitution to make that a requirement of cities and districts to abide by those acts, and therefore it would no longer be.
Be an unfunded mandate.
Right.
Oh, it goes around and around
Yeah, so,
and around.
so.
We have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Those are the main ones I wanted to tell you about. There are quite a bit regarding the elections, election law, which we'll address on my one-on-one meetings with those coming up for election. The ones that may affect you, I don't want to go through a list that may not affect your committee or your circumstances.
Okay, good. All right. Department directors, anybody?
I do like the colored pie charts on where our money went on a maintenance cost for November. Thank you very much. Is it part of the new system or something?
We've been doing that the last couple of months, I think, yeah.
I guess I just paid more attention to the pretty colors, yes.
I like this one.
Yeah.
Okay, that concludes the
What's that?
department reports, and we'll go on to mayor and council member items. Anybody?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I happen to have two, if I could, please. I recently heard that the Riverside County Sheriff, including our contract group, has again decided that they will not do a fix-it ticket in the city of La Quinta. They used to do them over at the substation over there. We have a substation here. They sit around over here. We have volunteers. They will not fix-it ticket. I'm not sure what term I want to use there. But they will not do it in town. You will have to drive to Thermal to do it.
Oh,
And I
yes.
believe it's a $27 cost to do that. I think that you can still go out to the CHP office out on the freeway someplace and it doesn't cost. I'm very upset about this. This is second time that they've done this. And, you know, it may be the policy of Riverside County Sheriff, but I just cannot believe that the volunteers over there can't walk outside and have somebody press the brake and see if the brake light comes on. And if it comes on, the darn thing is fixed. And, you know, I don't know whether we should have a conversation here or have it with Stanley Sniff, but I'm just totally disgusted with this, the thought that we can't do this in-house.
Yeah, get Andy and Schaus in here and let's
Sure.
get that thing dealt with. I mean, yeah, I'd love to get it done here in La Quinta. You don't have to drive all the way out to Thermal.
Well, no, I mean,
It's crazy.
that's nuts.
Make it convenient for them, maybe
Yeah.
not for us.
Right, and our citizens, yeah.
And then
We've got them
the-
here at City Hall, let's, yeah.
The other thing that's has me really concerned is that CalPERS is contemplating changes again in the employer rates. And I've asked Frank to please bring us up to date on, this is going to be a budget breaker. And we better be prepared for it. We better be prepared for whatever it is that they're, you know, they're doing the smoothing. And I don't know if you remember hearing that. They're gonna smooth, they know they have to raise it 15, 20%, and they're gonna smooth it by doing it all at once. But now they're doing something again. We need to know what's coming down the pike right after the first of the year, so.
Well, I can address that as well as the other piece.
Right now, you mean, or later?
On the first item, we are talking with Lieutenant Walton about this issue, and we'll get back to you at the 21st meeting in terms of the fix-it tickets and the charges.
Good.
That discussion occurred today, and we will have answers to you. In terms of the CalPERS cost, we did talk about that when we adopted the current year fiscal budget. Currently, we're paying about $830,000, give or take, a year in employer contributions towards CalPERS. Based upon the formula that they have there, by the year 1920, we'll be paying over $2.3 million a year of the city contribution, not employees, city contribution to CalPERS.
I don't know what, you said the year 1920.
20,000, or 2019, 2020.
Oh.
So in 6 years,
6 years.
we'll nearly triple our
But
CalPERS
do you
cost.
have an inkling, because it says that they're already starting to work on something that may affect us next year?
The rates will go up next year. Will almost be close to $1 million next year because of their rate increase. So we'll come back and give you the schedule that we have and where it sits today.
I want to be kept really up on this at all times, because it's, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Fast-moving train.
That concludes that. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved and second, please vote. Motion passes. Okay, at this time, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the successor agency to the La Quinta Redevelopment Agency for Tuesday, December 17, 2013. Let it be known that all agency members are present, and that we have no closed session. Public comment? Anyone wish to speak? No? Seeing none, we'll move on. Confirmation of agenda. Any changes by staff?
I just have a department report I'd like to give at the close of the agenda.
By agency members?
No.
Okay, I'll move on to our presentations, non-written committee. I'll ask for approval of minutes for December 3.
So moved. Second.
Move to second, please vote. Motion passes.
Consent calendar.
Under the consent calendar, yeah.
Moved and second.
Oh, was there a second?
I
Okay.
did.
Please vote.
Adjournment? No.
Motion passes.
Frank has it. Oh, that's right, sorry.
So, on October 1st, you authorized us to move forward with refunding $125 million of our former redevelopment agency bonds. Today, we sold the bonds after going through structuring. Yesterday, we had a pre-pricing call, and today, between the hours of 9 and 11, we sold the bonds and actually beat out the Orange County Development Agency by doing even better yields than they did. We sold today, and I signed the contract this afternoon at 4 to sell $120.2 million worth of bonds. When we were before you in October, we indicated that we would achieve annual debt service savings of about $435,000 a year. That has increased to about $560,000 a year, about 28%. The gross savings over the 20-year life left of these bonds have increased from $8.1 million to roughly $12 million. In addition, the underwriter's discount based upon what you approved on October 1st was set to be $687,000 as we projected. Given the yields and the reception in some of the bonds were actually oversubscribed, so it shows the quality of the city of La Quinta. The underwriter's discount now will be $602,000. We also talked to you about doing insurance on the bonds, and because Standard & Poor's and the material we sent out by e-WIT mail rated us A+, we only needed to get bond insurance on the final years of the bonds, being those long bonds of 20, 28, 29, 30. So we were looking at an insurance premium of roughly $1.4 million when you took the action October 1st. The actual cost will be $450,578. So we did do the refinancing. If you remember, the benefit this will inure us is the fact that we will be able to take half the projected annual debt service savings and use that to help repay the general fund loan over a period of time. So we're going to be having closing documents that we're going to be asking the mayor and the city clerk to execute by Thursday of this week, and then we will do the formal closing next Monday on December 23rd.
Great job. Good. Good. Okay, that concludes the successor agency. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and second, please vote. Motion passes. Okay, at this time I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Financing Authority for Tuesday, December 17, 2013. Let it be known that all authority members are present. Public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to confirmation of agenda. Any changes by staff?
No.
By council, our authority members? No. Okay, I'll ask for approval of minutes of November 19th.
So moved. Second.
Moved to second, please vote. Motion passes. The consent calendar?
Move consent calendar. Second.
Moved to second, please vote. Motion passes.
Move adjournment. Second.
Moved to second, please vote. Motion passes.
Thank you. At this time, I'll call to order the Housing Authority agenda meeting for Tuesday, December 17, 2013. Let the record show that all authority members are present. I'll ask for verbal announcement AB 23, please.
Board members of the La Quinta Housing Authority are entitled to receive a $50 stipend as set by Section 34274 of the Health and Safety Code, not to exceed 4 meetings per month, to be paid to members in attendance at every convened Housing Authority meeting.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll ask for public comment. There being none, we'll move to confirmation of agenda. Does staff have any changes to the agenda? Any authority members?
No.
All right, I'll ask for approval of minutes of November 19, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
We've got a first and second. Please vote. Thank you. I'll ask for the consent calendar.
Move consent calendar.
Second.
First and second, please vote. Thank you. There be no other items. I'll ask for adjournment.
Move adjournment.
Second.
Please vote. We are adjourned. Thank you very
Good.
much.
In conclusion, let me wish you all a Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year, and Happy Holiday Season.
Happy Hanukkah for those.
Enjoy.
Be healthy and happy.